Okay, so today we're jumping into a story that honestly feels like it's straight out of a movie. We're talking about a global community scattered across this brand new empire and the masterminds, these absolute geniuses who built a network to hold their entire civilization together. And get this, they did it all with just ink and parchment. I mean, really think about that for a second. Right now, we've got instant messaging, we can video call anyone, we're all over social media. But what if? What if you had to connect millions of people and they're spread out across thousands of miles, all the way from Spain to Persia, and your only tools, ink, some parchment, and maybe a few camel caravans? Sounds impossible, right? Well, that was the exact challenge facing the Jewish people about 1,400 years ago. So what happened? Well, out of the deserts of Arabia, this new superpower just explodes onto the world stage, Islam. And it emerges with this absolutely breathtaking speed. This wasn't just a new religion, it was a brand new empire that was about to completely reshape the destiny of millions and millions of people. All right, so let's set the stage. We need to talk about this massive shift, this new world order, the rise of the Islamic Caliphate.
Okay, just look at this timeline for a second. The speed of this expansion it's just incredible. It all starts in Arabia, right? And then boom, within just a few decades, the Islamic Caliphate controls the entire Middle East and North Africa. By the year 711, their armies are all the way up in Spain, and for the Jewish people who'd been living in these lands for centuries, yeah, everything was about to change. Big time.
So you have to wonder, what did this new reality actually look like? What was it like to be a Jew living inside this massive, brand new empire? This number right here, it's pretty staggering. By the 8th century, a huge, huge majority, we're talking 9 out of every 10 Jews in the entire world were living under Muslim rule. Suddenly, their whole fate was tied to the laws and the attitudes of this new caliphate. So a whole new legal status was created for them. It was called dhimmi. And here's the deal. This was a formal arrangement where Jews and Christians, because they were considered people of the book, were actually a protected class. They weren't forced to convert, and they could pretty much run their own communities. The catch? They definitely had a different status than Muslims, and they had to pay a special tax called the jizya. Now, to really get what this meant, you have to compare it to the alternative. What was happening in Christian Europe at the same time? Well, life for Jews there was often brutal. Super precarious. We're talking constant persecution, violence, expulsions. But under Islamic rule, look, they were still second-class citizens for sure, but they were generally way more integrated into society and had a much more stable, protected status. It was far from perfect, don't get me wrong, but it was a profoundly different world. Okay, so you've got this Jewish world now scattered all across this gigantic new empire. They needed an anchor. And one place became that anchor. A community so ancient, so stable, it could basically weather any storm. Babylon, what we now call Iraq. And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures why Babylon was so important. While all these conquests were raging across the Middle East, the heartland of Babylonian Jewry, it stayed largely untouched. It was this crucial safe haven. But see, Babylon wasn't just any community. No way. This place had been a major center of Jewish life for over 1,000 years. It was home to the most prestigious academies on the entire planet, Sura and Pumbedita. Think of them like the Harvard and Yale of their day. This is where the Talmud itself was completed. It was, without a doubt, the intellectual and spiritual capital of the entire Jewish world. And this is where our heroes enter the story. The Jewish people are facing this massive challenge. How do we stay united when we're so spread out? And that's when a new generation of leaders in Babylon totally stepped up to the plate. They were known as the Geonim. Now, the Geonim weren't just some random smart guys, not at all. As you can see from this chart, they were the next link in this incredible, unbroken chain of Jewish leadership that stretched back for centuries. They basically inherited the ultimate authority to interpret Jewish law and to guide the entire Jewish people. So the title, Gaon, it literally means genius or excellency. Pretty cool title, right? It was given to the heads of those big deal academies, Sugra and Pumbedita. And for almost 400 years, these guys were the final word, the absolute authority on Jewish law and belief for communities everywhere. So the big question is, how did they do it? How did they manage this from one central location?
Well, the Geonim came up with this absolutely brilliant solution to the problem of distance. They basically created the world's first global analog network, kind of like an ancient internet of questions.
Okay, put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine you're a merchant way out in Spain. You've got a really complex question about business ethics, a real-life problem, and you need a definitive answer based on Jewish law. Who do you turn to? I mean, there's no one in your city with the authority to give you the final ruling. Simple, you turned to Babylon. Communities from all over the world would write down their questions. Sometimes they'd even pool their money together just to send a messenger on this incredibly long journey. The questions would finally arrive at the academies, where the Geonim and their scholars would research it, debate it, and then write up a detailed legal answer. This answer was called a responsum, and then they'd send it all the way back. You guys, this system was absolutely revolutionary. Think about it. It meant that a Jew in Egypt and a Jew in Persia could live by the exact same rules, the same legal framework. The Geonim took this vast library of Jewish texts, the Torah, the Talmud, and they made it practical. They literally turned it into a GPS for life that could give you guidance on any issue, no matter where you were in the world. And this incredible network of questions and answers, what we call responsa literature, it became the backbone of global Jewish life for centuries. And honestly, its impact is still felt today. And people asked about everything. I'm serious. This wasn't just, abstract philosophical stuff. They asked about business contracts, inheritance, marriage law, how to run a community council, the proper way to pray, you name it. These responsa, they give us this amazing, vivid picture of everyday life and show us how Jewish law was applied to literally every single part of it. But, like all great eras, this one eventually came to a close. Over time, the Islamic Caliphate itself started to fracture, and the influence of that Babylonian center began to fade. At the same time, powerful new Jewish communities, especially in Spain, started to rise up and produce their own world-class leaders. But wow, their legacy is just immense. For 400 years, they held a scattered people together across a continent. They created this massive, shared body of law that unified Jewish practice from Spain all the way to Persia. They even wrote the first standardized prayer books, shaping how Jews have prayed ever since. They were, in essence, the crucial bridge connecting the ancient world of the Talmud to the medieval world. They laid the intellectual groundwork for everything that came next. So they built this entire world of connection and shared meaning using the tech of their day, ink and parchment. And it kind of makes you wonder, right, with all the absolutely incredible tools we have at our fingertips today, what kind of world and what kind of connections are we building?